There's a moment in your life that you keep missing. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with noise or urgency, but it's there, shaping everything. And if you don't understand it, you'll keep asking the same quiet question in different forms. Why does life never give me exactly what I need at the right time? But here's what no one tells you. Life has been responding to you the entire time, just not to the part of you that speaks, to the part of you that vibrates. And that's where everything begins to change. Because somewhere in your day, maybe even today, you experience something small, a delay, a frustration, a thought that didn't feel right, and you dismissed it. But what if that moment wasn't random? What if that moment was a reflection, not of the world, but of your inner state? Think about this carefully. Two people can walk through the same day, face the same situations, meet the same opportunities, and walk away with completely different outcomes. One says, "Nothing works for me." The other says, "Everything seems to fall into place." Same reality, different internal condition. And according to principles explored in thought vibration, thought is not passive. It is not just something you have, it is something you emit. A pattern, a frequency, a silent force that moves outward and organizes your experience in return. Not because the universe is choosing favorites, but because it responds to consistency, to dominant states, to what you repeatedly impress upon your own subconscious. And this is where the hidden conflict begins. Because consciously, you want something. You want clarity, opportunity, peace, progress. But beneath that conscious desire, there's another layer, a quieter one. One that says, what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not ready? What if I lose control? And that layer is not weak, it is dominant, because it repeats more often. And repetition is what shapes reality. So while you're trying to trust the universe, you're also resisting it at the same time, trying to control outcomes, trying to predict timing, trying to secure guarantees. And every time you do that, you reinforce one internal message: I don't trust this process. And the mind listens, not to your words, but to your pattern. This is the part most people never confront. They believe trust is a decision, a statement, a mindset you can adopt in a moment. But real trust is structural. It's the absence of contradiction. It's when your thoughts, emotions, and expectations are no longer pulling in opposite directions. And until that alignment happens, you will feel like life is withholding something from you, even when it isn't. Because here's the deeper mechanism. Your mind is constantly filtering reality, not objectively, but selectively. It highlights what matches your internal state and ignores what doesn't. So if your internal state is tension, you will notice problems faster than possibilities. If your internal state is doubt, you will interpret neutral events as negative. If your internal state is control, you will miss opportunities that don't fit your plan. And slowly, almost invisibly, life begins to mirror that state back to you, not because it's punishing you, but because it's aligning with you. This is the law most people misunderstand. It's not about asking and receiving. It's about matching and reflecting. And this is where Atkinson's perspective becomes uncomfortable, but precise. Because the mind doesn't just influence your perception, it shapes your conditions. Through repeated patterns, through sustained emotional tones, through the silent expectations you carry into every situation. That's why two identical opportunities can lead to opposite results, depending on the internal state of the person who receives them. So when people say, trust the universe will give you what you need, they're not talking about passive waiting. They're talking about internal coherence. Because when your mind is no longer divided, something shifts. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop chasing timing. You stop trying to bend reality into your expectations. And in that space, something unexpected happens. You begin to see clearly. Paths that were invisible become obvious. Decisions that felt confusing become simple. Situations that once felt blocked begin to move. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because your perception is no longer distorting it. And that clarity leads to action. Quiet, precise, grounded action, not driven by fear, not driven by urgency, but by certainty. And that kind of action produces results. This is where the illusion breaks, because it feels like the universe is now helping you, like things are finally aligning, like you're being guided, but in reality, you've simply stopped interfering. You've stopped projecting contradiction into your own experience. And now, your actions, your focus, your interpretation, they're all moving in the same direction. That's what creates momentum, not luck, not coincidence, alignment. And yet, this is the hardest part to maintain, because the mind is conditioned to doubt, to question, to seek control when uncertainty appears. So the moment things slow down, the moment results don't come immediately, the old pattern returns. What if this isn't working? What if I need to do more? What if I'm missing something? And just like that, the internal conflict begins again. This is why most people never sustain this state, not because it doesn't work, but because they don't hold it long enough. They interrupt the process. They collapse back into fear just before things begin to shift, and they never realize it. So the real discipline is not in getting what you want. It's in maintaining a stable internal state, regardless of what you see externally. It's in holding a quiet certainty without needing immediate proof. It's in acting without desperation, observing without distortion, allowing without resistance. Because when you reach that point, you stop asking if life will give you what you need. You begin to understand something deeper. Life has always been responding, always been adjusting, always been aligning, but only to the version of you that is most consistent, not the one that hopes, not the one that wishes, the one that repeats, the one that stabilizes, the one that becomes. And that leads to a final realization, one that most people avoid because it removes every excuse. If your reality reflects your dominant state, then the question is no longer about the universe. It's about you, not what you want, not what you say, but what you consistently hold when no one is watching. Because in the end, you don't receive what you ask for. You receive what your mind has quietly agreed to accept. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt like something here clicked deeper than usual, then don't stop here. Because evolving your mind isn't something you do once, it's something you train consistently. So if you're ready to take the next step, to go beyond just understanding and actually start changing the way you think and live, make this simple decision. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, not just to support the video, but to reinforce the kind of content you want more of in your life. Because every small action you repeat becomes part of who you are. And the real question is, what direction are you choosing to grow in from here?